gentlemen, it is Friday. Welcome to your roundtable. Paul and Ian and I were just discussing art, and I'm just curious, Paul. I know you have very strong feelings about the Heisman. How do you feel about competitive art, i.e., the Academy Awards, those types of things?
I feel like everyone's a winner in that arena.
Sure.
To me, the apogee of art is something done for its own sake. Dogs playing poker.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's wow. I mean, it's funny, but it's poignant.
Yep.
One of the dogs looks like he might be in debt.
Well, there's some cheating going on under the table too. The thing
There's
that I
cheating,
love about
there's backstory, there's tension. So that's all the hallmarks of great art.
It's so nuanced as well. You really have to dig in to get what's going on there. Ian, where do you land on awards for activities?
That's such an open-ended question. I don't
It
really
sure is.
I don't really watch the Academy Awards anymore. I usually haven't seen the movies that have been nominated. Sometimes I circle back years later. But it feels like
you watch old Academy Award shows.
Yeah, no, you just watch the award shows.
I circle back to the
speeches.
I circle back to the movies to see which stood the best of time. Like that one Grinding Nemo one.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Grinding Nemo.
Grinding Nemo.
The lady frees the fish and then has sex with it.
Where are you watching these films, Ian?
I didn't watch it. I never went back to that one. I was like, that doesn't seem like I need to see that or revisit it. It wasn't it Guillermo del Toro. It feels like it used to be the movies at the Academy Awards were actually good.
Yeah. This is like also
No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood were in the same year. Do you remember that? How far we've fallen.
It's true. Guys, this is what I've been told not to do. I've been told to start with football at the top of every show. And I apologize. It's just fine. It's fine. Here we go. That's fair. That is totally fair, Splendid Daddy. That is a completely reasonable response to what you just witnessed. We're going to start talking football. Guys, we've got Clemson this week. Round 1 of the playoffs starts tonight with Indiana versus Notre Dame. And I'm just curious as we get into this. Obviously, we're going to get our picks for the Clemson game a little bit later. But what first of all, if you obviously not the Texas game, but what other game are you most excited about watching, Paul?
I'm excited with this one tonight because it's all we have.
Sure.
Also, the weather is going to be interesting. I mean, there's going to be snow. It's going to be mid-teens with the wind chill. It's in Notre Dame Stadium, which is South Bend is a real crap hole, in case no one knew. But that little area is beautiful and really historic. And then it's neat that Indiana, this absolute also-ran nobody of college football, is in the playoff playing the big daddy in the state with the chance for an upset. So I think that's really exciting and a lot of fun. Tennessee, Ohio State might be the best game in terms of matchup, but I don't know if it's going to be a enjoyable game to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of defense if you're into that kind of thing. And I think you're going to see Ryan Day getting very tight. And I think you're going to see Nico Iamaleava getting very tight on the road as well. So it could be interesting.
How about you, Ian? Where do you land on that?
I just picked Notre Dame to make the championship game over at my Substack, americaswargame.substack.com. So I will be very apprehensive about this Indiana game. I feel like Notre Dame is well positioned in their bracket. They're a good team. They have a chance to make a run. They're very similar to Georgia, so then it's just kind of whoever wins that game has a good chance to go into the final. But I also think Indiana is not the ideal matchup for them. Like if there's one team that Indiana could give trouble to of the higher seeds in the first round, it's probably Notre Dame. So that makes me apprehensive for my own selections, which of course is I prize above all else.
What about Indiana? Do you think gives them the most trouble? Is it just their tempo? Is it what is it that is going to give them trouble?
Their defense. They strike me as being good at attacking teams, good at linebacker. And Notre Dame is young at offensive tackle, very run driven. They don't have the like dominant receiver that'll burn you if you have a non-NFL cornerback to match up on him, which is going to be, I mean, any team could play Notre Dame tight because they don't have that overwhelming firepower component to their offense. Their trump card is, well, if we have to, we can run Riley Leonard 20 times and just beat you down. And I think that will work all the way up to the championship game, but it could be a near thing a few times, including against Indiana. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm not asking you who you think will win because you've already told us that, but who do you want to win, Paul? I mean, in these games, let's start with the Indiana Notre Dame game.
All upsets, every game but ours.
Okay, fair enough. All right, great.
We want maximum chaos in the field, not only because that's fun, but it's also good for Texas.
Oh my God, I love chaos. Ian, now you are a little bit more. Let's talk about the other side of the bracket. Who do you want to win? Obviously Texas, but go through who do you want to win in the Ohio State Tennessee game?
Well, Tennessee going it. They bought up, like the Ohio State president was saying that the seats maybe 30% Tennessee fans, and they did all these like seat geek shenanigans and are just invading Columbus en masse. And
yeah,
that's what I heard. I can't tell you specifics.
Good.
And somebody renamed Columbus on Google Maps as Neyland North.
Oh, great.
They just
what an attack.
It's so horse, just savage.
They have assembled a mob, and they are walking into
Mordor.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so many things about that are amazing and hilarious. Everyone's giving Josh Heupel all this credit. I don't think Josh Heupel is a great big game coach at all.
He looks like Sam Gamgee, though.
True.
Wow.
True. Yeah. Ryan Day is going to be like so tense and uptight in this game. He could be fired immediately afterwards if they lose. There's just so much drama around it. I don't even remember what you asked me, but that whole game is just going to be amazing.
I really hope this is true. AR is telling us that apparently someone went to every diner and played Rocky Top on their jukebox in Columbus. I've been to Columbus. There's not that many diners, so it's completely possible that they may have actually pulled that off.
Is Rocky Top available in your common diner jukebox?
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a great. This is where we have some suspicion as to
that's good. See, this is why Ian, we can get him back on track as a good cop instead of a hard-bitten bad cop.
Yeah,
this is the kind of detective work that Ian contributes. He's going through like a little goth phase right now. I don't like it. It's not very Ian. I hope we win and we can get Ian back.
Is it? You're doing the hair. That's nice.
It's not long enough.
Yeah.
Is there? This is a safe space, Ian. Is there something going on? You've been real cranky this week.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are been following. This has been a little off the main page, but Texas played this playoff team called Georgia 2 times this year.
Okay.
And both times they got absolutely beaten up in the trenches and lost. And that has led me to believe that Texas is not a favorite to win against other teams of that caliber if they have to play multiple versions of them in succession.
Okay. All right. Well, that's very fair. I understand that. So let's go really quickly to the SMU Penn State game. Again, awesome too. Who do you want to win this one?
The Mustangs for sure.
Oh, yeah,
that's the funniest possible outcome.
It's true. It is true. All right, guys. Well, that's great. That's great. We do not have our Justin or our Eric with us today. For those of you playing at home and you're wondering where that fourth box and why it's sitting there vacant, it's because both of those gentlemen are on their way to the state championship game. They are ineligible to play in it. They're just going to be covering it. So it's just going to be the three of us today. And I think let's just go ahead and get into Clemson. I think we should start with just some deep stats. And these deep stats are going to follow our friend Dabs here, some Dabo Sweeney. Now, Dabo's name comes from his younger brother, who was an infant at the time and had a really hard time saying that boy. So it came out as Dabo. So it stuck with him the entire time, if anybody wants to know where that comes from. But let's get into some of the things that might give Dabo an advantage. Look, we all want to have a great career, stay consistent all the way through. But in the coaching profession, that can sometimes be a little bit difficult. There was a lapse in his resume where he had to step away from coaching. And when he did, he ended up working for a real estate company. Now, this company was a commercial real estate company called AIG Baker Real Estate. Now, the reason this is significant is because this was founded by one of his teammates that played with him at Alabama. Obviously, AIG was under some scrutiny during the 2008 bailout. And as such, the owner, Mr. Baker, decided to change the name from AIG and make it something more palatable. So he changed it to Blackwater. so just really making things much more concise in terms of how we're giving our messaging. But I'm curious because you, Ian, have experienced so much in the world of real estate recently, moving from Michigan to Austin, Texas. I'm curious, what is it about his experience in real estate that might give him an advantage in this game?
Well, our real estate agent, Laura Baker, was outstanding. Didn't try to push anything on us, was just very helpful over a very long process. But for Dabo, I feel like the fact that he was a real estate agent trying to sell houses to people is just another clue to what's lurking underneath his aw shucks demeanor. Which is that, I don't know if y'all are Flannery O'Connor fans, if you've read Good Country People, but it tells the story of this Bible salesman that charms people and then just turns out to be this completely degenerate, snake oil salesman under the hood.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make some connections here. Are you calling Dabo Sweeney a snake oil salesman?
He may be a man of legitimate character, but I don't feel like that program is as squeaky clean as their reputation suggests.
Okay.
And I think that his overall presentation deflects from that. It just doesn't come up very often. Like, I've talked about it all week, but I mean, how many times have they been busted for PEDs? How many 5-stars have they signed out of super contested recruiting areas when they supposedly don't play the game on the level of paying players? It's like, well, then how come you have all these guys that Georgia and SEC teams wanted? So there's all sorts of stuff going on with Clemson.
One of the things I think that's interesting about this as well is if we want to get into some of the juxtaposition between the aw shucks attitude of Dabo and one of the cultural traditions at Clemson, they have are you guys aware of their graveyard? Are you familiar with this tradition? Every time that Clemson beats a top 25 team, they create a graveyard. There is a graveyard that has currently 75 tombstones on it. And their most recent was, I believe, against North Carolina. I want to say it was I can't remember the exact date, but it's when North Carolina was ranked 24th. So this I think is a really interesting thing in the way that Clemson presents itself as a very squeaky clean, very, very open, family-based organization, but they really do lean into the morbidity of everything. And I think that's that level of subterfuge, again, to use that word, that I really think is creating some level here of danger when it comes to playing Clemson. I want to get into the actual game itself and break that down. But first, one of the things that's really important to me is that we give a little shout out to our Laura Baker, who, is it true that she made an appearance in the deep dive? Is that true? What happened?
Pre-show.
Pre-show. That's really nice. That's really nice. So it's good that you guys got to see Laura.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker.
If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call. All right. Clemson. Are you as nervous as Ian is, Paul?
I'm nervous in any game involving a top 20 team that Texas plays, but I think we have great matchups against Clemson. Primarily, I think they should be more worried about us than we should be worried about them. What do you think about that, Ian?
I mean, they have nothing to lose, so I don't know. I don't know how much fear there is to be had. Like, if they lose, like, what's no big deal, right?
I don't know about all that. There's going to be a lot of talk. Ian's acting like we're the only fan base with issues and all that. That means their season would have been capped off by they're the ACC champion, but they got humiliated by Georgia in the first game, and then they lost to South Carolina, their big rival at home, and then they lost to another SEC team in the playoff. It just adds to their insecurity complex, and it's something certainly that would be used against them in recruiting. So take that.
There you go. I like that. What do we feel? I think the thing that is really obviously the crux of it seems everybody's emotional base hinges around the quote unquote which Quinn is going to show up. I mean, to me, this is a game. It's conceivable that we could score 30 points. It's also conceivable that we could score 17. And I think that's the level of uncertainty that we're having here. So let's just get into this a little bit. I want to talk to you, Ian. Give us your score prediction and tell us exactly why you think that's going to happen.
I have Texas 27-24 winning.
Go
That's
good.
Right.
Okay.
I have Texas winning the game, everybody.
Wow.
All right.
Bold.
I think ultimately, I don't know if there's multiple versions of Quinn anymore. I think there's multiple versions of Sark game plans. And Quinn is always on point with Sark's big game plans. So if the game plan is good, Quinn is going to execute it well, and that'll be great. And if the game plan is not super on point, then Quinn will not be super on point. He's not going to offer that much outside of managing whatever Sark prepared. But I think Sark has a few different ways to attack Clemson, and ultimately he will man up as necessary and do whatever it takes to get the win.
Do you think when you talk about the game plan, one of the things that you've mentioned or that I've heard mentioned by both of you is the idea that the plan is designed in such a way that Quinn has very little to do from a mental point of view. He's got maybe one or two options. His reads aren't that extensive. And so is when you're talking about why that is why the game plan is so important, because his options are limited by the way that the plan is designed for Quinn, that he really doesn't really have the opportunity to go off piste and make a play. Is that a fair way of assessing that?
Sort of. There's also, I mean, generally when the options are not there, especially if Texas is playing a team with pass rushers, then it's not like he's offering very much. Like Paul pointed out before the Georgia game, if Quinn's eyes go down in the pocket, it's a sack every time. And when you watch the game, you could see Paul's point like come to life. Anytime you saw Quinn start to move and lower his eyes, the play always ended with him on the ground in the backfield. So, I mean, with better mobility, sometimes he can get out of the pocket and make plays because he throws so well on the move. But Sark kind of needs it to be that way, because if he doesn't give Quinn a quick way to get the ball out, things tend to go poorly. He self-sacks. He wanders into pass rushers. But I will say the reads are always simple, but the volume of plays that Quinn and Sark have developed together is very extensive. So it's like, I don't know a good comparison. It's a very extensive vocabulary of plays, even if none of the words are complicated. Does that make sense?
It does. How do you feel about this idea, Paul, that, as AR is saying, Quinn is just playing point guard?
Well, yeah, in a sense, but I mean, a point guard in basketball, you can't really put on a joystick, right?
Right.
Basketball is a pretty free flowing game. The goal for Sark is to put Quinn on a joystick for as long as possible and sort of operate him from the sideline. So that's the reason that you see the little fall off in terms of, as each quarter goes by, his play degrades a little bit. The injury may also play a role in that. I'm not sure, but I think it's just recognition and all that kind of stuff. Look, here's the main thing. Clemson ain't Georgia, and Clemson does have a couple of guys on their defensive line who are really good, but they don't have the sheer number of guys that Georgia does, and you can block them. You know, the fact is Texas's offensive line has performed very well against every team not named Georgia, and there's a number of reasons for that. We've covered it ad infinitum, but I think there's every reason to think that we can block Clemson up, and if we can, there should be some plays available.
So where do you see this one landing, Paul? What's your prediction on the score?
I think I predicted 27-17 Texas. There you go. There's my prediction. Yeah, I think that Texas gets it done, and I think that score, I think Clemson may get a late score to make that even look a little closer than it is. One thing I have noticed is Texas is having trouble separating. So it would be wonderful for all of our confidence to see Texas put in a complete game, put the defense in good position, and freaking, drop 34-10 on them and move on to the next round.
Paul, would you rather Texas wins with their normal formula and goes into the next round, or Texas struggles and maybe makes some adaptations that position them differently for upcoming games?
I think I hear what you're putting down, Ian. I actually want to show as little as possible.
Okay.
I would like to, whatever adaptations we make, I would like to happen in the semifinal.
This is a question from Casey that is a little bit in line with that, but this is more to do with Quinn being the person that is just executing the game plan. So this is Casey's question. What concerns me is that in year 3, we don't see Quinn making line of scrimmage changes or plays. We saw Mac do that at Alabama a lot. Everything seems to come from the sideline. Maybe I'm just overthinking. What's your response to that, Paul?
I have seen Quinn change plays. You've seen him get him out of a bad run play. He'll switch sides of where the run's going, or he'll change the play. I've seen him do that. But that actually is a feature of college football. More and more, everyone's doing the turn to the sideline thing. And we were laughing because what are the synonyms for quarterback is signal caller or field general. It's like, not really, not anymore, right? They're more like a dutiful corporal than a field general. So what do you think, Ian?
I had not observed him doing that as much. To me, it seems like he usually checks to the sideline and then adjusts from there, but I could be wrong. I think this is a very interesting dilemma in college football in general. I think if you can teach your quarterback to do that himself, that's better. In coaching, they talk about who gets to hold the chalk last. Like an offensive coordinator can draw up something, the defensive coordinator can draw up the counter, the offensive coordinator can draw up the counter to the counter, etc. Who gets the chalk last? I think it's much easier to win that when your quarterback can do it, or on defense, if you're like Mike linebacker or safety or somebody can make a change or go off script.
Yep.
I don't think Texas has that dimension in general, either with changes at the line of scrimmage or with like out of structure playmaking backyard football either, which makes me nervous.
There was a question that was asked of me the other day, and I want to pose it to you guys because I think you'll answer it much better. But the idea of Stark having the script, as it were, the opening series of plays or whatever the script may be, the duration of that. What is so unique about a script versus the play caller that Sark is and his ability to just continue calling plays into the second half against a defense? What is that drop off and why does that happen?
The short answer, the defense adjusts.
Right.
And the script is also plays you've been practicing all week. And you develop this fluidity and fluency with just you're on automatic. The minute you see the coverage and you've already got the call in your head. So one thing that people I think a misnomer about our offense, Quinn's not reading coverages. He looks at progressions. So he knows this receiver is going here, this receiver is going here, this receiver is going here. And he knows where he's supposed to go in order. He's not actually lining up, looking around and saying, oh, they're in cover 3. This isn't Peyton Manning type stuff. There's no Omaha calls. So that's kind of the reason. They just catch up to your script, and also your script runs out. And it's the plays that you practiced all week.
Right.
They also, Sark, in the opening script, he usually introduces a formation or motion or concept that they haven't done before.
Yep. That's
designed to try to attack that specific team. And so everybody does this, but Sark does it really well. So one of the things, there's like a meme online that my guy Parker Fleming made on Twitter. That's American Psycho. It's Christian Bale, and he's like, very nice. Now let me see. He's talking about business cards or whatever, but the meme caption is very nice. Now let's see the unscripted drives. Because you see it over and over in college football, and not just Texas by any means. One team will come out on their first drive or two and march down the field and get points. And you're like, wow, this team came to play today. They're about to go wreck this other team. But it's just the opening script. And once the other team has seen it and adjusted, then you might see long periods before either team is able to move the ball and score again.
And this is one of the reasons why the overwhelming sentiment, at least this year that I've experienced, is we want to get up big in the first half. Like we really want to make our hay in that first half because the second half, the defense is adjusting. Is that fair?
Yeah. And Texas also just doesn't have like go-to concepts that are there when the defense knows they're coming, if they're playing the better defenses. Like they don't have like the route combination or the option route to a specific receiver where it's like, hey, we got to go have something. Let's dial this up. If they don't have like the advantage of the script and the easy deal, then the passing game is much more shaky and they're inconsistent. And then the run game, similarly, they don't have like if you can stop outside zone, they don't have like a go-to run play that's just going to always be blocked right and always get yardage. It's either Sark can hit you with multiplicity in the run game and find your weak spot, or if you don't have it, then Texas just – so they don't have those like core identity run home to mama concepts to lean into if the script isn't producing. You agree with that, Paul?
I think all of that was wrong, to be honest, but we should probably just move on for time reasons.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. We wanted to thank you guys for being here today. Actually, Paul, go ahead. Do you have a comment on that?
No, I think that's right. I think Texas does have different run concepts. And in fact, I think their most likely path for success will be running some power stuff if they make some adjustments that I anticipate they might make if Clemson rolls out a couple of different defensive looks. So we'll see. We've had 2 weeks to practice stuff. We've had 2 weeks to rep stuff. Dabo's not the only coach who gets to make adjustments. And, Texas is going to clean some stuff up. Texas has got to watch Clemson film. And Clemson's defense, they've got some guys. They flash off the screen. They don't play as well collectively as they look individually. And that's something that Sark historically does a pretty good job of finding the guy who doesn't know what he's doing and doesn't know his job and is just kind of out there being athletic. Sark tends to find that guy and make that guy have a little Saturday nightmare.
Playoff start tonight, guys. It is Indiana versus Notre Dame. And then tomorrow is football mess. We've got an entire day full of playoff games. We want to thank you for being here. For those of you watching on Twitter, please go ahead and follow the account that you're watching this on over here on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. That really does help us out. And join us at InsideTexas.com for all the analysis that has led up to this point, and certainly the analysis after the game. Now, before the game, an hour before it starts, you'll be able to join Homer and the team for the pregame. As soon as that clock hits the zeros, you'll be able to see them in the postgame. We want to, again, thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you this weekend.
Wait.
Go ahead, Ian. I didn't end it. What do you want to say, Ian?
I was gonna say as the parting shot. I can't believe you brought it back.
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to make everybody pick their national champion before the playoffs actually start.
Okay. You've already picked yours.
You had a real opportunity, LC, to be like, "Oh, you can have your platform, Ian," and then to cut him off again. And
I know. I didn't. I'm not that cruel. I would love to hear your thoughts, so Paul. Who do you have winning this thing?
Boise State.
Boise State all the way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I think
the running back is the key to football. I'm not sure if you guys have followed football the last 20 years.
Correct. That's why I'm taking ASU.
Perfect.
Great.
We see it the same way.
I'm really glad we came back for this.